Assalamu alaikum. Suleiman Raheem here. Let's slay some demons. See something here for a minute. Adjustment here. Sisters and brothers, let's talk about Gog and Magog, which is America and Britain. They're talked about in the Quran. They'll be let loose. Gog and Magog make mischief in the land. They will be let loose. Come at you from every elevated place. Talk about chapter 20 of the Injil, that they will be let loose after 1,000 years of the Dark Ages. Incidentally, the Dark Ages didn't affect the entire planet. The Europeans would have you think that. They talk about Dark Age because they always talk about respect to them, like everything revolves around them. No, the Dark Ages only affected Europe and Britain, which is islands off the coast of Europe. Britain is not part of Europe. They're islands, that's why I call it the British Isles. It's islands off the coast of Europe. But Britain is Magog. See, they're the Adam that the Quran talks about, that Allah said, not Allah didn't say it, it says, thy Lord. See, they assume that's Allah talking. That's Yaqub. And thy Lord said to the angels, I'm going to place a ruler in the earth. See, that's Adam. That's Adam talked about, Britain. He was put to sleep for 1,000 years, Adam. That's the same one in Genesis. See, he doesn't, that one was not made 6,000 years ago. He's the descendant of the original Adam that Yaqub made. See, Europeans are descendants of them. They are right out there, bloodline. But this Adam that Quran talks about, and the one he talks about in Genesis, is Adam, that's Great Britain, so-called Great Britain. Okay, and they were put to sleep for 1,000 years. Right, that's the so-called Dark Ages. After that came out Eve. It came out of the side of Adam. That's where America came from. Came out of Britain. See, this is documented facts. If you read chapter 20 in that context, instead of listening to these lying preachers, and Farrakhan in particular, you'll understand. Because that is not future. The millennia has already happened. That 1,000 years, once you put in right perspective, you know who everyone is. So for 1,000 years, it's bottled up in Europe by the Sunnis, the Quran. That was his purpose, to bottle them up for 1,000 years. That's the whole story about the Quran, right? He bottled them up for 1,000 years. Then they would come out and they would cover the whole planet, a planet they didn't even know existed, at least to that extent. They didn't know there was another continent over here. They thought the earth was flat. They came out with dominate the whole world for about 500 years. See? And then they would die. Because they came with an expiration date. When they was created, Yaakov's creation came with an expiration date, 6,000 years. We're not going to go into all of that. But anyway, that's Gog and Magog. Gog, the mother of Gog. America is Gog. They talk about that in Daniel, talking about the two-horned ram. The ram itself is false Israel. And the two horns, the first horn is Britain, and it said the second horn came up, was bigger than the first, greater than the first horn. That means America. There was only two world empires in Yaqub's history, 6,000 year history. Only two world empires. That's been Britain, the sun never set on the British Empire, and America. So these are very simple things, brothers and sisters, once you understand. But you listen to Farrakhan and confuse Wesley and Newsies folks, you get all confused. And you're going to see it in a minute. We're going to give you a little brief clip with Wesley. I just previous to this, I did a presentation. I was pretty lengthy, about half an hour, of Wesley pulling crap out of his ass, calling it honey. The boy is confused. He looks confused. See? So we're going to show a brief clip, then we'll go into the presentation. So let's see if we can find it here. There it is, right there. Okay, Gog and Magog. Let's see. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, as I said, I'm going to give a brief presentation of a brief clip of what Dr. Confused Wesley Muhammad. The boy is confused. He's out in the 10th dimension someplace. And like I said, if you look at the previous video, and it was kind of lengthy, so I didn't really give a lot of comments afterwards. So if you saw it, then you'll understand what I'm about to say now. It's very simple. The case was there. The situation is the story, the fact that Africa is not affected by this virus. And he brings out some good points. But see, like I said, confusion is greater than lies, because confusion is really the opposition of truth. Because truth organizes. Confusion disorganizes. See, confusion has lies mixed in, truth mixed in. It's like false. It's all confusing. See, it's all confusing. See, some people rather be lied to than be confused. But it's all confusing. And so the truth of the explanation, the simple explanation, the scriptures give a simple explanation why the situation we see unfolding before us is happening. Why Africa is not affected, yet people, black folks, are dying over here. We have the same DNA, right? We're pretty much the same type of people, basically. And the simple answer is what the angel tells us, that half of the black population here are demons. They're slave masters' children. So they will be affected just like the slave master daddies and dads are. So they're the ones getting it. We're not getting it. It's passing over us. That's exactly what they said would happen. 1619 to 2019, 40 years, 200 years will be a plague that will kill the firstborn, the elderly, and pass over us. It's very simple. And that's exactly what's happening. You don't have to go and put a slide rule, get a calculator, get a PC, get a computer, all this stuff, go and get some brain surgery. You don't need all that. It's very simple. It explains it clearly, distinctly. But see, the problem is, Farrakhan, even if he understood it, he could not explain it that way. Because if he did, he'd have to explain why. He'd explain what a demon is. He doesn't talk about demons. He would have to explain what a demon is. And if he does that, he's toast. Because there's a question behind who his father is. It's not a question with me, but the question is out there. And the fact's out there. His father is a devil. That makes him a demon. That's true. He's through. That's why they can't go with 1619, 2019. Was right there in the scripture. Very clear. Elijah Muhammad talked about it. 1619, 2019. 1555 was preparation. The servitude didn't start until 1619. Abrahamic covenant covers the period from 1619 to 2019. And then the plague in 2020. And the resurrection in 2021. It's very simple stuff. But he has to, yes, but that's like all lies have to confuse things. He has to confuse it. Because he tell you, because with all this Dr. Wesley, he went on 3 hours talking bullshit. He was pulling crap out of his ass, calling honey. It's all kind of confusing when the simple answer was he could have said in a few minutes, oh, well, the reason why they're not affected, because if Africa is affected, but he even admits it. He said it's not black Africans that's catching over there. He said it's not black people that's catching over. The ones that are getting it is not very much. He says it's non-black African. And he says they have the same demographics as we have. You know, there's Muslims, Christians, some fat, some not, right? Some sick, some not, right? Some got diabetes, some don't, whatever. Some eat pork, some don't. Yet and still, we're supposed to be dropping like flies, and they're not. And said, what's the difference? He comes some BS about, well, it's because we're not obeying Farrakhan because God gave us the protection, right? And we didn't follow it, and all this bullshit. See, he coming to all of that. When the simple answer is, oh, because half of the black population are demons. They're the ones that's dying from it. It's passing over us. That's why it's passed over Africa. See, and then, well, who are demons? Oh, they're slave master children from 400 years of rape. Oh, and hey, Farrakhan, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy, Farrakhan? You see what I'm saying? He can't go there, even though it's a simple truth. Anybody can understand it. Whew. Let's move on, brothers and sisters. See, I told you he's toast. And the reason why they're doing this now because they're nervous. See, they're nervous. They're worried. They're desperate because they have to answer questions that they can't answer. Let's move on. Observers at that stage, black people at that stage were saying, COVID is a white man. And then we look closer at that period. We would have said COVID is a white Jew disease because it was the Jewish communities everywhere outside of Israel that were decimated while Israel was proclaiming victory over the virus. Jews of the diaspora was being devastated in what they described as a pestilence from heaven. I'm sorry, as a plague of biblical proportions. Jews ravaged by the virus. Describe dead. Okay, I've stopped it there. Said you can go out to noi.org and look at the whole speech from Sunday. They archive it. So if you look now before Sunday, you'll get the latest one. And as morning, it's over 3 hours long, right? But listen to him. He does admit, as I was saying, at first, when it first came out, it was several months went on that was only taking down Caucasians. They was the only ones being taken down by it. See? And then all of a sudden, right, it became black disease. It was passing over us. And we was dying disproportionately. But no numbers, just percentages. So he missed that part. See? But he can't just come out and say exactly what was going on. See? Because it was getting them, it wasn't getting us. That's something they wasn't telling you on the news. So he's revealing that much because you can go out there and find it. If you want to do the research, I mean, I can do the research for you. I can go out there and find the videos that tell you that that's only people was killing in the first couple of months. It was only to maybe March or something like that when they started talking about, well, blacks are dying disproportionately. But it was hitting America in January, and blacks wasn't being affected until, at least they didn't say that blacks were affected until what, March or April, because as I said, the Jews, they knew exactly what that meant. That is their religion. It's based on Exodus. They knew 1619, 29. They knew the prophecy exactly what it meant. And they saw all these white folks coming here and getting, no black folks get. They know exactly what that meant. White folks were getting and black folks were not getting. They knew exactly what it meant. So they had to go to work to destroy that. that narrative. So all of a sudden, blacks were getting it disproportionately. Yet still, for the first months, they wasn't getting it all. See, and then they never gave you numbers, just gave percentages. And it hid for a long time the fact that Africa wasn't being affected. In fact, most people don't even know that now because you have to go and research it. You have to go look for it. They don't even know. They still hide that because it blows away. Because why is this played right on time? It's happening right on time. See, they've been happening right on time. And why is it not killing black people? It's killing everybody else. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's move on.
And whenever should be ended the 1,000 years, will be loosed the Satan out of the prison of him, and he will go out to make to err the nations in the four corners of the earth, the Gog and Magog, to lead together them into the war, of which the number of them as the sand of the sea.
Okay, brothers and sisters, so we're going to talk about the timeline of Gog and Magog, right? From Angel chapter 20, right? After the Dark Ages, see, after the Renaissance, they was thrown into Dark Ages. How? They was pushed into Dark Ages. The pressure from the Quran was greater than their, right, than they could withstand under the system they had. They had to reorganize. It took them 1,000 years of pressure from the Quran, right? Under that pressure, they reorganized, which was known as the Renaissance 1,000 years later, where they reorganized separation of church and state, right? They pushed the church aside, they went to a library, they put their false religion aside and went into mathematics and science, right? And logic and reason. Some people call it the age of reason, right? And that's when they came out, Gog and Magog came out, right? And virtually took over the world. They said they would deceive the whole world. Now, a couple of things I want to say right quick. You know, when Nixon was around, they took the world off the gold standard. Now, some of you may not know what that means. That means before that, gold was like the measure, was like the standard how they measured their money. So the more gold you had, that's how they based their money, right? There was you know, that it made sense to them, but really when you think about it, it's kind of stupid. Because, say for instance, you had a great country like Russia or something, right, or Germany, and they had $1 billion of gold. And then they went and they found this little country somewhere, and they had a whole mountain, and that mountain was full of gold. That mountain was worth 10 times as much. They'd be more wealthy than them because they had, you know, whoever had the most gold. See, but that wasn't a measure of how much wealth you had. It's just a measure of how much gold you had. See, so you could be stupid and have a lot of gold, you know. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. So they wanted the gold standard because that wasn't a true measure. You see, um, but this what the standard they went to is still not correct, but it makes more sense than gold does. But basically, what it is, it says that you don't know what your wealth is. Your wealth is whatever they want it to be. When you had the gold standard, at least you knew, hey, if you had if gold was worth so much, if you had so much gold, you can go to the bank and say, I got $100 or $100 worth of gold, and you go. And you always knew how much your money was worth. See, because it was based on how much gold you understand you had. So it's something that was measurable. But now you can't, because you never know how much. It's like you go to, you know, when I was small, we had the 5 and dime stores. There's pretty much what dollar stores now. But you can go to the 5 and dime store and buy basically what you buy with dollar store now, because the money is like it's depreciated by like uh, um, uh, almost 100%. Well, let me say it that way. In other words, the value of the money was 10 times more than the now, basically, right? So in other words, what you could buy for $1 now, you could have bought for a dime 40 years ago. So when somebody says, hey man, I'm making $100,000, You see, and, oh, that's great, man. I'm a millionaire. Well, yeah, you might be a millionaire now, but if you had the same, right, but back in the 20s or 30s or 40s, right, maybe less than that. Well, you was only had $100,000. $100,000 was like worth $1 million now. That's why people feel they need to have so much money because it's not worth as much as it used to be. And right now, because with the gold standard, you don't know what it's worth. What it's worth now, see, basically, what they went to is like a military standard. I'm not going to go a lot of detail about that, but because that gets a little complicated. I'm gonna put it this way. I think it was Louis the Fourth of France. I think it was Louis the Fourth. And if you heard Knights Templar, well, Knights Templar is responsible for so-called banking system, everything we have now. Because they was knights. They were like the Crusaders. They was like monk knights, right? They swore off marriage, all that kind of stuff. But they was worked for the church, right? But they was kind of independent. But they was called a Knights Templar. And um, and they set up the banking system. They became very powerful and very rich. So rich that like countries would borrow from them. So France borrowed from them a lot of money. So in time for France to pay it back, they couldn't pay it back. So what they did is they called all the Knights Templar leaders to a meeting. So they discussed how they're going to pay off this debt. At the meeting, all the ones that came, and most of them came, they catch them all, burned them all at the stake, and so therefore there was no more debt. That's how you resolve the debt. You know, if you get rid of the person that owes, who you're paying the debt to, you don't have no more debt. And so that's pretty much what's going on now. Because America, right? America, they integrate, they don't look at it like that. See, they tell us that. But a good part of America's debt, right? Okay, put it this way. America has trillions of dollars of money in the banks that belong to so-called Saudi Arabia. Used to be, they got some belong to Iran too. That's a long story. I don't want to go into a lot because this is a lot of things we're going to talk about here. But so they have all this money in these banks. See, and what happened to Iran? What they don't tell you the truth about Iran is that when the Shah was disposed, right, which they caused that to happen. So that's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why Iran's angry with them because they went there. There was democracy, and they went there, took it over because they wanted the oil. They put the Shah on the throne. So Shah gave them oil for several years, 10, 20, 30 years, whatever, I don't know, about 20 some years, maybe close to 30. So they kicked him out. But he put all the money that America's paying for the oil back into American banks. So when they disposed him, America said, well, Iran, they took hostage everything, so they're a terrorist nation, so we're not going to give them their money, we're going to seize their money. So they kept the money. So Iran said, that's our money, trillions of dollars, that's our money, right? So they kept it. And when the Shah tried to come over here to get it, right, they they told him he could not come in America. They knew why he was coming because he was sick. They said, no, you can't enter in America. They know he's coming to get that money. So they never gave it back to him. So in essence, the bottom line is they never paid for the oil. So on the books, they said, well, we $2, $3 $3 trillion in debt or whatever, right? But if you know you're never going to pay that debt, that's only on the books. So you're really not in debt if you know you're not going to pay. And you can enforce, and then you can escape in the consequence of not paying that debt. See, because if you're a military power, right? Then who's going to, if you're the baddest gun in the West, right? And you come in there and you flipping your gun, man, right? The fastest gun in the West, and you come to town and you go in and buy everything on credit, right? I mean, yeah, well, I'll give you credit, yeah, but you don't get shot, right? And then you say, well, okay, come and collect. Nobody's gonna come and collect, so hey, you really got it for nothing. And that's what America does, because they're powered, they're not gonna pay it. So all that money with China, they're never gonna pay that money. That's what when China comes to collect, they go to war with China. They wipe out China, no more debt. So all that debt, that's why they spending money. They're a little cautious now because they say, well, at some point we have to go to war. Because they're never gonna pay it. They're never gonna pay it off. Because they'll just call it, just like so-called Saudi Arabia. They're so big of fools, they're fools over there. But that's our land, that's our oil. But we're going to take it back from them. But what they're doing is they all that money that they that America paying for the oil. It's in American banks. And they said that oil is supposed to run out in like about 10, 15 more years. So when oil runs out, what do you think will happen? Oh, well, y'all was oppressive women. Y'all was no good. Y'all was terrorists. Y'all was putting terrorists. And they'll give them a dime. So they're not going to pay that, give them that money back. They're never going to get that money back to them. It's in American banks, going to stay there. So really, they're not in debt at all. America's not in debt at all because they don't plan on paying that debt, and nobody's going to be able to force them to pay it. And they're not going to suffer any consequences for it. You understand? So I said all that to talk about religion. See, because before, see, it's what your money is based on. So I'm not going a lot of detail of monetary policy, monetary science. There's a science to it. And you live under false science. With capitalism, you live under false science. You live in a totally false science. Money, that's part of false science. It's a tool of a false science. But I'm not, maybe I'll talk about that one day. But I want to get back to religion. Now, religion, what happened with religion is that prior to 50,000 years ago, there was no religion. There was just mathematics. I mean, that's it. You know, the dogs have religion, the cats have religion, they're smarter than us. The birds have, they do fine. They don't have a religion. They do fine. So we never had religion either. See? Because it was just reality and mathematics reality. But see, the trick was when Buddhism came along, it took reality off the mathematical standard. That's the trick. See, it took reality, right, off the mathematical standard. So it didn't have to be connected to mathematics. So now they come up with philosophies and all these false religions because it doesn't have to be connected, because if you connect it back to mathematics, all those things go away. Like if you connect America back to the gold standard, they couldn't do what they was doing because that means Saudi Arabia say, hey, I don't want your money, I want gold. You see? I want gold. That's what Iran was. I want gold. So they couldn't, because they were keeping their country. See? So pay me in gold. And so America would had to pay them as they got the oil. So the money would be America's bank because it wouldn't be money. That's why they got rid of Gaddafi, because he says he didn't want money no more. He wanted gold. That's why he got rid of Saddam Hussein, because he said he wasn't going to use American currency anymore. He's going to use the euro, which is almost as bad, but at least he wouldn't be under control of America, because he thought the euro, they'd be more, more trustworthy. That's why they got rid of it. They don't tell you the truth about it. See, Gaddafi said, I don't want your money, I want gold. See? So once they took it off the mathematical standard, then all these philosophies come along, all these religions come along. See, because if you put it back on the mathematical standard, all that stuff goes away. Because none of that can stand up in the mathematical scrutiny. None of those so-called religions can stand up under mathematical, logical scrutiny. Not one of them. You understand? That's the trick. Take off the mathematical standard. Farrakhan's doing it. All of them doing it. Or just believe me, faith, whatever. See, I can't prove a damn thing I'm saying, right? But that's why it's so divine. See, because it's beyond proof. But mathematics is not beyond proof. And they took reality off the mathematical standard and called it religion. That's what that's all about. So I thought I'd point it out to you. So let's move on, brothers and sisters.
And the woman fled into the desolate, where she is having their place having been prepared from the God, in order that there they may be nourishing her days 1260.
Okay, we jumped ahead. We talked about Gog and Magog, right? How they went to the Renaissance, went out the Dark Ages, the Renaissance, right? And that's when Britain emerged, because British came. Adam was made from the earth. It means the earth represents European countries. That's where the British came from. They came out of Europe. It was a riffraff, right? The exiles, immigrants from Europe, the criminals. They was kicked out, and that's why English is a bastard language, because it's made up of all the European languages. See, because that's where all the people came from. See, and so they emerged as the powerhouse right after the Renaissance. Like they was the first of the European countries to just divorce themselves from the church, so-called Protestants. That's what Protestants mean, Protestants. They protested the church, right? And and when they came out, right, and they colonized America, right, that was Eve. After 1,000 years, that was Eve. That's America, right? And then it says the biblical cord was severed. That means America had a revolution. They broke themselves away from Britain, but they still husband and wife. They still work together. You see. So now we jump ahead, right, to as a result of that became the slavery and all that stuff, right? So we're jumping ahead because we're not going to go into a lot of detail here. We're going to try to just get history of Gog and Magog from the major critical points. So here um, uh, we see the demons. Demons are the result of 40 years of raping our women. The top one there is original nation, right? It's because the black nation now, because the black, when they say black, is generic. So it means black comprised of anybody that's got black blood, right? But you got the original and the demons. The demons are the master's children. They black, but they not us. We're original. We seed Abraham, right? They're seed of Yaqub. Yaqub's crafted devils. That's what they're seed of. But they, because of rape and everything, they look like us, walk like us, talk like us, be like us. That's the demon. So if you notice, half of the original, the elect, that's us. Half original nation is demons, half are original, right? And one part of that is the NOI, where they're not Abraham's seed, but they are the Levites. They were grafted into our tribe. They're the Lord tribe, the tribe of priests. That's another story. So we started from there. So we see at this point, this is where Farad came, raised up Elijah. He's told to minister to both, the wheat as well as the chaff, right? Because says someone came and sowed their evil seed, their weeds among the chaff, and then went away. And then the servant said, what should we do? Should we pull out the weeds? He said, no, leave them together, minister to both together until the harvest comes, because if you try to get rid of one, you might hurt the other. Until harvest comes, and then we'll separate them out and throw the demons or the weeds, not the wheat, the weeds into the fire. See? And then we'll put the wheat into the barn. That's what you see right there. So you see Farad, he's the God, he's the king of the original nation, which makes him the God. If he's the king of the original nation, that means he's the king of all the whole world, the God of the world. Okay? Okay. That's what's happening. The son, that's Suleiman, right? Farad is David. Suleiman is son. Suleiman is the high priest, right? Suleiman is the one that will build the kingdom. David was not allowed to build the kingdom. He was to rule the kingdom, but it'd be Suleiman that would build it. See, they work together. And we're going to talk about that more in detail sometime, but the relationship between the two. But for now, we're just talking about Gog and Magog. So here we see. So at the bottom down, you see Gog and Magog, right? They're the lowest nation, right, of all the nations, but, they think they're the best, right? That's the earth. Well, we see the earth, then we see the seas, the rivers, and the heavens. The top is the heavens, right? Okay, so at this point in time, we're talking about 1975, where Elijah Muhammad is just about to depart. He's ministering to both the demons and the saints. He's not discriminating. If you're black, you come in, you can get registered. He's not discriminating. You say, oh, there was, yeah, but he was told to minister to both. Okay, that's what you see. So it said there'll be a falling away. See? So it said the woman fled to the wilderness. So we're going to see. This is the woman that says the moon was at her feet, right? And the 12 stars were on her head, and right? And this is the woman in chapter 12. Okay? So it says she would flee into the desolate, right? See? So that's what that voice you just heard. I'm a young God.
Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, shewing himself that he is God. Remember ye not, that, when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And now ye know what withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
Okay, that's the son of perdition. That's Farrakhan sitting in Elijah's seat, right? Claiming he is God. That's what he said he would do. That's, you see it right there. It's not photoshopped. Exactly what he would do. That's what he is doing. Okay? And so it says that the fallen away, it comes first. So the fallen away has happened. Original nations fallen away. You see that, right? And it fallen to desolate, right? And then the son of perdition will be revealed. See, Farrakhan tried to twist it around and says, well, he's revealed who the false, the demon, the saints are, I mean, who the Jews are. And since that they're Satan, and since he revealed, now they're falling away. No, it says, be not deceived, the falling away will come first, and that somebody was holding it back. Elijah was holding it back because it says they was plotting against him. He was holding them back, but then he was taken out the way, and then the falling away came, and then the son of perdition was revealed. Farrakhan is the son of perdition. So here we are in 1977. See, that's the situation would be in 1977 after Nation of Islam was headless. You know, they Farad, Wallace and Farrakhan had got rid of it. They buried it. There wasn't any Nation of Islam left, except some ministers trying to keep it going, right? And they started thinking of Berlin. So there was no leadership, so the people fell away. That's what it's talking about. Okay, that's son of perdition. Because we're going to identify these people so you understand what he's talking about. That's what son of perdition is. And anybody's following this, the angel knows I'm not changing anything. This is the flow, always the same flow. Okay.
And whenever they should finish the witness of them, the wild beast the stepping up out of the abyss will make with them make war and will conquer them and it will kill them. And the fallen of them upon the Broadway of the city the great, which is being called spiritually Sodom and Egypt, where also Lord of them was put on stake. And they are looking at out of the peoples and tribes and tongues and nations the fallen of them days 3.5, and the fallen of them not they are letting go off to be put into memorial.
Okay, this is the war in the Middle East. Now something I have to look at this again. But anyway, this is the war in the Middle East. And this when they started, the war begins. When Baby Bush starts his war in the Middle East in 1990, when Saddam Hussein supposedly went into Kuwait, right? And so they've set this up. I'm not going into details, but that's where the war begin in the Middle East, right? And so that's when that's why I say Gog and Magog and the false of Israel, now they in on top because they moved the Shia out because they was the dominant powers in the Middle East, and now they've been superseded by Gog, Magog, and false Israel. Now they have control of the Middle East. This happened in 1991. That's what it's talking about here. See? So in other words, it says that witnesses, that's the Shia, they witnessed for 48 years. Again, they was against false Israel, and they witnessed until 1990, and then they were defeated or superseded by America's intervention, America, false Israel, and Britain's Gog and Magog's invasion into the Middle East. That's what's talked about here. Okay. And I'm gonna look again, I'm gonna see, because this thing shouldn't, I say some addition here. So I'm gonna see why it's saying that. But somebody's messed with my stuff again, maybe we'll see. Okay, let's see.
And whenever they should finish the witness of them, the wild beast the stepping up out of the abyss will make with them make war and will conquer them and it will kill them. And the fallen of them upon the Broadway of the city the great, which is being called spiritually Sodom and Egypt, where also Lord of them was put on stake. And they are looking at out of the peoples and tribes and tongues and nations the fallen of them days 3.5, and the fallen of them not they are letting go off to be put into memorial.
Okay, and this is what I was just talking about, right? They were cast down, right? This talks about the 24 elders that cast down their thrones, their crowns. So again, this is the war in the Middle East, and so they're cast down, and American Gog, Magog, and false Israel and supersede them. Now they have control of the Middle East. Okay? And it should be noted that that's the promised land. That's our land. That's where we're going to be returned to. That's where Farad has to take that land. Says, I go prepare a place for you. See, that's our land. See, it's covered right now with sand. We put it covered with sand, protected from 6,000 years of corruption of the earth by Gog and Magog, and by Yahu's creation. Once we return, that land, sand will be blown away, and rich to be rich with topsoil. But now it's covered with sand, and we see all our enemies, right? All our enemies are trying to take it. We see false Israel pretending to be us. They claim it's theirs. It's not theirs, because they're not for real. We see Ishmael claim it's theirs. Ishmael is not the inheritor. Isaac is. Isaac was Abraham's son by Sarah, right? See, Ishmael was Abraham's son by his maiden. That's how they got white, because he married, Ishmael's mother was Caucasian. That was an Egyptian, right? We know Egypt now, Egypt represents European countries. And Ishmael also married a Caucasian. That's how they got white. See? And so they claim the land's theirs. It's not theirs. They have taken our religion, our home, our language, right? Our holy sites. It's all ours. So now we got false Israel claiming it's theirs. They claim they're Isaac. See, they claim they're Isaac, right? That's us. You got Ishmael claiming that, oh, well, he's the son of Abraham, which he is, right? But it's his inheritance, it's not his ours, right? Then you got the Christians, right? They claim it's theirs because under the new covenant of Jesus, right, that land belongs to them. So we see all the enemies fighting for our land, pretending to be us. Think about that. See, okay.
And I saw, and look, horse white, and the sitting upon it having bow, and was given to him crown, and he went out conquering and in order that he might conquer. And I saw when he opened up the seal the sixth, and shaking great occurred, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon whole became as blood.
Okay. This is talking about what happens after 2008, right? So we'll see that in the next slide. But here, this is chapter 6, where it says the one riding on the white horse. That's Obama. You see it, white demon here, that's the white horse. The next is the red horse. And that is the black horse. And Obama, that is the greenish yellow. It's properly called greenish yellow, not pale. That's why you have to get a translator translation. King James has all messed up. A translator, you can get one on the Jehovah's Witness website for free, right? Translator, that means they don't go around trying to figure out what it means. All they do is just translate word for word. Then you get the proper translation. So that's the one sitting on the white horse. That's Obama, in that case, right? He had a bow and a crown, right? That's the situation. Understanding the angel language. That's the way it's positioned, right? So that means he's in power, doing it. He'd be in power for 8 years. So that's put this 2008. So we'll see here where we go to the next slide and we see what it's talking about here, where it says, I saw, no, well, actually, what happened here is that's a mix. That sound bite should not be on this page, it should be on the next page. That's an error. So forgive me for that. So that's why it's kind of confusing. That sound bite should not have been there. I don't know what happened with that, Wait, let me play it. Let me play it again. Make sure.
And I saw, and look, horse white,
Oh,
and the
okay.
sitting upon it having bow, and was given to him crown, and he went out conquering and in order that he might conquer. And I saw when he opened up the seal the sixth, and shaking great occurred, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon hole became as blood.
Okay, I thought let me throw a different soundbite. That's the right soundbite. Okay, okay, I understand what happened here. There's two parts of this, and the second part is on the next page. The first part is Obama sitting on the white horse, went out conquering and to conquer. Right? He's had two conquests. The first conquest would be American president. Second conquest would be um, in this process we're going through right now, when the war breaks out and everything else, it's going to cause us to unite, but it's also going to cause Africa to unite. So Africa is broken up to a lot of different countries. It wasn't like that before Gog and Magog. They broke up to a lot of different countries, right? It used to be one united continent, but now it's broken up a lot of countries, right? So what's going to happen is it's going to unite into two. It's going to polarize though. It's going to be um, Islamic Africa and non-Islamic Africa. See, it's going to unite in that sense. And Obama's going to be leading non-Islamic Africa. See, so let's move on.
And the courtyard the outside of the divine habitation throw you out outside, and not it you should measure, because it was given to the nations, and the city the holy they will trample on months 40 and 2.
Okay, there's a slight mistake here about that other video about the stomach and black and sackcloth hair Muhammad covers blood. I think I'm gonna show it later. Anyway, don't worry about that right now. Anyway, this is JCPOA, I believe they call it. This happened during this 2015. This happened during Obama's rule when he made this agreement with Iran. What this means was, if you go back to the previous one, right? Go back to the previous one here.
And the courtyard.
See, America and Britain forced them out of position, so now they control the Middle East, right? And then you go to the next right here, you see, now they pushed all
And
the
the
way down.
courtyard the outside of the divine habitation throw you out outside, and not it you should measure, because it was given to the nations, and the city the holy they will trample on months 40 and 2.
So that's 42 years. I mean, not 42 years. That's 42 months, 3.5 years. See, so in other words, what it's talking about, they'd be under the bottom, that they trample underfoot of the nations. That means they're under the bottom, they're under all the nations, right? That's what it means. And to be there for 3.5 years. Okay, that's the period where this Shia, and specifically Iran, was under the control of the UN for 3.5 years. It was under UN control because that JCPOA deal, right? And UN inspections, whatever. So they was under UN. That's what it means. It was under UN control because the UN represents all the nations. So they would be in that position for 3.5 years, 42 months. Okay, that's what it's talking about there. Okay, this is what something Obama set up, and would last for 3.5 years, right? And then Trump would break it. So he'd break it in 2018.
And after the 3 days and half spirit of life out of the God entered in them, and they stood upon the feet of them, and fear great fell upon the beholding them, and they heard a voice great out of heaven saying to them, Step you up here, and they stepped up into the heaven in the cloud, and beheld them the enemies of them. And in that hour occurred shaking great, and the tenth of the city fell, and were killed in the shaking names of men 1,007, and the leftover in fear became, and they gave glory to the God of the heaven.
So this is where the part about what came, the sun became black, and sackcloth hair, and the moon hole became his blood. That's what we see right there, because the moon was under the woman's feet, right? She also called sackcloth. And the blood, those were the blood of the lamb, right? Because the red ones represents blood. So the lamb will be at the top, so they're there now. That's what it means, right? So this tell you at this point in time, this is just before the 4 winds blow, because we see the moon, that blood right there, He's the one holding back the four winds, right? That's why I see there are two winds there, and two under that two winds. They're winds also, but they also refer to as fire, right? So I'm using that there because we'll see why in a minute. Anyway, so that's what's happening there. See? So it says after that, right? Trump broke the agreement. So now, after 2018, right, in 6 months, which actually takes you into if 6 months starts in March, because that's when the year really starts. It takes you around November, something like that. So it takes you late in 2018, right? It says they would spread plagues as often as they will. So it was they would start spreading plagues. So we see this would happen because that's the position they're in right now. They'd be in that position right now, right? And it would take them 2 years to get in that position. But that's another story. I'm not going into detail. But anyway, that's the position they're in right now, getting ready to move. They're preparing to go to war with America and Britain and false Israel. But that's the position they're in right now. And they're covering the earth. It says they would cover the earth, they would afflict the earth as many plagues off they will. That means the plagues would come from them. That's Iran and Syria. It says the plagues would come because it says God said he would send the plagues, and they are his angels. That's Michael and his angels. Michael is fraud, and she are his angels. And it says the plagues would come from them. This plague of 2020 would come from Iran. And you see that if you watch that so-called presentation, understand that, excuse me for a second here. This so-called presentation that the clown Wesley Muhammad put out, right? He said, well, that's where the plague come from, Iran, right? Out of there, some, a mutation, whatever. The plague originated out of China. But it's a long story, but it was America. That laboratory was sponsored by America. It was controlled by America, right? Financed by America. They don't want to tell you all that. The so-called when the Wuhan or Wuhan, what do you call it, right? So they don't tell all that. And the whole thing, this whole story, I'm not going into detail here. But the point was that plague was designed to get rid of us and get rid of Africa. But it mutated. See. And so it says, Farad got a hold to it, and it mutated, see, and backfired. See, that's a long story. I'm not going to here. Anyway, the bottom line is, it says the plagues. That's what it's telling you right here. It tells you, read chapter 11. It says the plague will spread the plagues. If you understand who they are, who the witnesses are. So you got these silly people that claims they follow Elijah Muhammad. About the witnesses are Elijah and Farrakhan. Oh. Oof. See, if you don't understand Angel Key, you have no idea what any this stuff is talking about. So that's what it's talking about. That's where they are right now. See, spreading the plague. See, preparing to go to war with God, Satan, and Magog. That's what it's telling you here. See, so we'll play this one more time.
And after the 3 days and half spirit of life out of the God entered in them, and they stood upon the feet of them, and fear great fell upon the beholding them. And they heard a voice great out of heaven saying to them, Step you up here. And they stepped up into the heaven in the cloud, and beheld them the enemies of them. And in that hour occurred shaking great, and the tenth of the city fell, and were killed in the shaking names of men 1,007, and the leftover in fear became, and they gave glory to the God of the heaven.
This is the beginning of the fall of Babylon. See, in that hour. So we'll see as we go along this beginning, because they're prepared to go to war. They're preparing to go to war. See, because they're moving up. And so America calls them as a threat. They say, oh, wait, we're going to reach Iranian with 20% now, right? They said, well, we're not going to allow you to do that, and so forth and so on. And now we have Trump here, and he's on it, right? He's on the ropes. And we know Israel wants to attack Iran, but they want America to do it. And they know Trump is the best chance they ever had to do that. And people are nervous. that he might pull a trigger just before he goes out of office? And if he doesn't, then what does that mean? See, because Biden's talking about, well, I want to, I'm going to join the JCPOA, I guess you call it, right? That's not going to happen because, see, you pay attention pay attention to the angel key here. That if they was do that, that means they'd be back on the bottom again. Let's go back. They'll be there again. See, that was a period that they would be there, only 42 months. So the point is, if they're moving up here.
And after the 3 days and half spirit of life out of the God entered in them, and they stood upon the feet of them and fear great.
See, they would have to stop. They have to go backwards. So that means tell you right there. You have to pay attention. Angel tells you Biden is not going to get back to the GPOA with him, JCPOA with them. It's not going to happen. So it's either that or war. So if Trump doesn't pull a trigger, Biden's going to pull a trigger, unless they're going to let them have nuclear weapons, which Israel said that's not going to happen, right? And America says it's not going to happen, right? And so if they can't get back in the JCPOA, which we see Angel here says that's not going to happen, then we know it's going to be either war before Trump gets out of office or soon thereafter. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters.
And occurred war in the heaven, the Michael, and the angels of him of the to war with the dragon, and the dragon warred and the angels of it, and not it proved strong, not but place was found of them yet in the heaven. And was thrown the dragon the great, the serpent the archaic, the being called devil and the Satan, the making to err the being inhabited whole, he was thrown into the earth, and the angels of him with him were thrown.
Okay, here we have, right, the dragon. The dragon. Who is the dragon? The dragon is Saudi Arabia, house of Saud. They're dragon, and the angel tells they're not even Arabs. They're not even Muslim. They're Indians that the British put on the throne when they used to occupy the area. And when they found oil there, they took Indians, right, and they're masquerading as Muslims because the only way they could control Mecca and control that region, they couldn't be in the time of the Hindus. That wasn't going to work. So they're masquerading as Muslim, but they're Hindus, right? They're not Muslim. They're not Arab. They might be Muslim, but well, I mean, you can be Indian and Muslim, but they're not Muslim. They're Indian Hindus pretend to be Muslim. That's why it says why they ally with the West against Shia, right? It says what the Quran tells you. It said do not take Christians and Jews for friends. If you do, you're one of them. That tells you right there they're not Muslim because they're taking them for friends. They look for America for help. They turned them. That's why they had a big problem with Bin Laden. He said, "What you doing that for?" See, we should be able to defend our own country. But they take them for friends because that's why the British set them on the throne to watch over, take care of that oil. They didn't want the Arabs to have it. See, so that's the dragon. See, and he gives fuel to the Europeans, to America, falls Israel, and Britain. He fuels them with that. That's how they got power. That's how they got powerful because of cheap oil. That's why America's more powerful than anybody else because they was able to get that cheap oil. Energy. Oil is energy. They had more energy than anybody else. That's how it became so powerful. Without the energy, oil, it would not have come so powerful. That's the dragon, right? And so, and it says, and his angels, right? That's his angels are Gog, Magog, and false Israel. See? And it says they would make war, right? It says they would make war with Michael. Michael's Pharaoh, and his angels are Shia. That's what it's talking about here. But it says they would be defeated soundly, decisively. See? And when they're defeated, right, we're going to see it in a minute, right? They're going to go and attack the black people in America. That's America, false Israel. No, America and Britain will attack the black people in America. When I say black, I'm talking about the demons and the saints alike. We're going to attack both of them. That's what we saw Adam and Eve. That either tree of knowledge and evil. There's two trees there, right? When you eat something, you consume it, get rid of it. They're going to attack, and not attack, just subdue, capture, destroy. That's what they're going to do. See, once they're defeated. Once they're defeated by in the military, some of the and false will be no more. They're going to take them out completely. Those that still remain there, most of them are going to try to get out of there fast. Those that remain there, they're going to be totally destroyed.
After these I saw other angels stepping down out of the heaven, having authority great, and the earth was lighted up out of the glory of him. And he cried out in strong voice, saying, She fell Babylon the great, and she became dwelling place of demons and prison of every spirit unclean and prison of every bird unclean and having been hated.
Okay, there you go. That's America and Britain. They kicked out, right? And America falls. That's what it means falls. Now she's at war with Europe, with Russia, and the EU, which used to be an ally. She's at war. Part of the reason why she's at war with Europe, because the thing is that Eastern Europe, Eastern Europe and Western Europe, right? Russia is Eastern Europe. They're two legs of the old Roman Empire. Western Europe is the EU. Okay, at this point, the EU's economy totally collapses. Why? Because they were they was backing America in this war against Iran. But Western Europe is totally dependent upon Iranian oil. Totally. Not only that, but China is also, right? And so is Britain. So they're totally dependent. So what happens is what happens. And once they're defeated, what happens? Iran turns off. They don't have any reserves. Iran turns off their oil. The economy collapses overnight. Read chapter 18. It just collapsed overnight. And America's not going to come and get them their oil. America has oil, but they're like, I'm going to give it to you. We need it. And so they get to fight with each other, right? We're going to let, talk about Gog and Magog. I said, we let some of them surge against others. They start to fight with each other, right? And by their fight with each other, right, then the power shifts from the dragon to the beast. Remember, the dragon had 7 heads and 10 horns, and his crowns was upon his heads. But the beast, he had 7 heads and 10 horns, crowns were upon his horns, right? Which means that there was a power shift. So as America gets back down this war in Europe, right? See, then the beast has 7 heads, 10 horns, and crowns for his horn. They take power. That's why I said it. In chapter 13 says the dragon gave power to the beast. His authority and power to the beast. So now they have authority. So China, India, that's just, the China, India represents the 10 horns, right, of the beast. And the beast, this case, is where you see the Buddha figure there. That's China, right? That's the leopard in Daniel, yellow with brown spots. See? So now they have the power, and they're going to invade America. Because America will have, once they lose this war in the Middle East, right, they will have no friends anywhere. Everybody will be against them. Everybody's be closing in. See, because that failure to win that war in the Middle East also revealed how vulnerable they are. They're not so powerful they thought they were. See, because power doesn't come from just thinking it or wishing it. Power comes from mathematics. See, and they have mathematics on their side. See, but Farah has supreme mathematics, and Suleiman has supreme mathematics. See, which they don't understand. They have copy at all. But it will destroy them. They will feel it.
And when saw the dragon that it was thrown into the earth, it persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male. And were given to the woman the 2 wings of the eagle the great, in order that she may be flying into the desolate, into the place of her, where she is being nourished their appointed time and appointed times and half of appointed time from face of the serpent. And threw the serpent out of the mouth of it behind the woman water as river, in order that her born by river it might make. And gave aid the earth to the woman, and opened up the earth the mouth of it, and drank down the river which threw the dragon out of the mouth of it, and was made wrathful the dragon upon the woman, and it went off to make war with the leftover of the seed of her, of the observing the commandments of the God and having the witness of Jesus.
Okay. For those of you that are studying angel, then you can look and understand what this means. So I'm not going a lot of detail here, but giving a lot of information to study. Because the thing is that it tells you the one that you should be looking for is the one that breaks the seals and have proof. I'm showing you proof the seals are broken. And you keep listening to those lies and everything, and leads you to your destruction. That's on you, right? But ask them, have they broke the seals? And they have show the proof. I'm showing the proof, and you can look at it and see for yourself. And if you think that you can break all these stories and come out this clean as this every time, make it simple, there's this key, and every it fits every story you go out there, every time you go, just the Adam and Eve, the demon-possessed man, no matter what, it fits in this key, it fits in perfectly, and I'm not changing anything. It's right in front of your face. Okay, so what you have here is that it says, see what's the Gog and Magog? Okay, they're covering the demon that was under them, right? And the saint was under Magog, right? The demon was under God. See, they're pregnant with them, so to speak. That's why it says, well, those who are pregnant, right? The wrath of God will be on them. So that's America and Britain. They're the ones that's pregnant, right? But in this case right here, see, by them covering them, that means they're attacking them. See, America and Britain are attacking their blacks, right? The demons as well as the saints, the chaff as well as the wheat. We're talking about they would persecute the women, right? They would make and said those. It said at the bottom down there it says, let's see at the bottom what says here. Make sure we get this right. Nope, don't do that. Now this is why it's not doing this. There you go.
Off to make war with the leftover of the seed of her, of the observing the commandments of the God and having the witness of Jesus.
So in this case, if you look at this carefully, it's talking about all the different ones, because the woman is divided in four parts. So all three of them, right? And then the last one says those who are words, who are observing God's commandments and so forth. That's the NOI. See, it said they went to make war with them. See, dragon went to make war with them. So they're going to attack the NOI. See,
To make war with the leftover of the seed of her, of the observing the commandments of the God and having the witness of Jesus. Went off to make war with the leftover of the seed of her, of the
let's go a little further back.
river which drew the dragon out of the mouth of it, and was made wrathful the dragon upon the woman, and it went off to make war with the leftover of the seed of her, of the observing the commandments of the God and having the witness of Jesus.
See, it went to make war. Talking about those that have commanded, talking about the NOI. See, it's going to attack them. At that point, that's where Suleiman comes, talking about the messenger of the covenant, right? And they listen. That's the point where he comes and takes and rescues them. We're going to see on the next slide where he has to call upon Farad to bring the four winds to rescue them because they weren't listening to him before, but they're going to listen to him now because now he's come to clean them up and to throw out the demons. So at that point, when they're attacked, see, then because first of all, Farrakhan, right? He's a coward. When they attack, he's going to be cathartic, right? He's going to be comatose. So he can't run, so he's going to be comatose. If he could run, he'd be outrun everybody because he's a coward. So then they're going to look at this to Suleiman at that point. That's what it says. Right? See, that's why he's there. Okay?
And the sixth angel trumpeted, and I heard voice one out of the horns of the altar the gold in the inside of the God, saying to the sixth angel the having the trumpet, loose the four angels the having been bound upon the river the great Euphrates. And were loosed the four angels the having been prepared into the hour and day and month and year, in order that they may kill the third of the men. And the number of the armies of the horse twice myriads of myriads, I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision and the sitting upon them, having breastplates fiery and hyacinthine and sulphur-like, and the heads of the horses as heads of lions, and out of the mouths of them is going out fire and smoke and sulphur. From the 3 plagues these were killed the third of the men, out of the fire and of the smoke and of the sulphur of the going out of the mouths of them.
Okay, this is the 4 winds blowing, but the first 2 of the 4 winds are fire. See, that's fire. And so that's what it's talking about, that he would baptize, because those 2 there, if you go back, remember, that's the NOI and the demons, the greenish yellow demons. They were the ones that Elijah Muhammad was ministering to. And remember, Elijah Muhammad is John. He says, John, I will baptize you with water. Now, if you go back earlier, you see that where the moon is, that was water. He said, but the one coming after me, he said, oh, nobody's coming after him. He said, the one coming after me, who I'm not worthy to fill his sandals, right? He will baptize you with fire. That's the fire. See, that's the fire. They get hit with fire. See, the elect up top, they're not going to suffer that. The elect, those are the original people, right? They're not corrupted. They're not demons, right? See, they're the seed of Abraham. They're the ones that's going to be delivered when Michael comes in. Michael will stand up, right? And all those who in the Lamb's book will be delivered, right? And then the other ones will wake, right? Some have everlasting life, some have everlasting same apartment. That's the NOI, everlasting life. Other ones the same. The other demons are shame and apartment, but they were not delivered. They had to go through tribulation. That's just it. So this is the 4 winds coming down that Suleiman calls fraud, right? Calling 4 winds to protect the NOI from destruction. Because when they come in to destroy. So once they attack, that's when the 4 winds are going to blow, right? See, that's Farad sends protection, right? So Farad sends protection, but it's going to take Suleiman to call it, because he's the general on the ground. You had Joshua. If you study Joshua, when he went to war, after they lived high, because when we go back home, right? Farad has will already taken control of the Middle East, right? Or control of Arabia, not they call Saudi Arabia. This stuff doesn't belong to Assad. He would have taken control of it, right? But the people will still be there, right? And they ain't giving it up. So they're going to fight us. The Sunnis going to fight us tooth and nail when Joshua comes to take that land back. So that's the war that Joshua will be fighting. He'll be leading his people into war to take control of his land back. You see. So, um, um, and that's the elect. Okay. So that's what's happening here. So, and what I was saying is that it says he would be the general on the ground, and Pharaoh would be the general in the air. It says he would protect them by air, right, with the wheel, and Joshua would be doing the fighting on the ground, the army and the air force. Read it. It's right there in Exodus.
So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and suddenly a rattling, and the bones came together, bone to bone. Indeed, as I looked, the sinews and the flesh came upon them, and the skin covered them over, but there was no spirit in them. Also he said to me, prophesy to the breath, prophesy, Son of man, and say to the breath, thus says the Lord God, come from the 4 winds, O breath, and breathe on these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood upon their feet, an exceedingly great army.
Okay, read this carefully. It's talking about 2 resurrections, right? The first one will be one under Elijah. They had no spirit. They had the form, right? They had FY uniforms on, MDT dresses. They had no spirit, because they had spirit. They would not have fallen when Elijah Muhammad left. They had no spirit. They had the form, but no spirit. The second one will be when the 4 winds blow. That's about to happen. That's the one I was just telling you. Suleiman calls to save their ass, right? And that's the second resurrection, right? But these have spirit. You see. So the first one had form but no spirit. The next one had form and spirit. It becomes exceedingly great army. That's the resurrection. So all the blacks will come together when the four winds blow. All the demons as well as the saints, they all come together. That's the harvest time. See, gonna bring them all together. See, but then the demons gonna be separated out and cast into the fire. So we see that post haste.
As for me, I baptize you with water for repentance, but he who is coming after me is mightier than I, and I am not fit to remove his sandals. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and fire. His winnowing fork is in his hand, and he will thoroughly clear his threshing floor, and he will gather his wheat into the barn, but he will burn up the chaff with unquenchable fire.
Okay, there you go. There's it. So now he's gathered the wheat, right? And but the demons are thrown back into the fire. See, Farrakhan, main demon, right? He's Legion. Read Mark, right? When it says the main demon, his name was Legion, right? He didn't want to leave. He said, please don't make me leave the country. He said, let me go back into my swine daddies, right? Let me stay with them. So he goes, he's allowed to go with them and they go kill him. They get to fight with each other. That's what you see. They get to fight with each other. Now, if you notice this right here, that demon right there, okay. See, at this point, they're fighting. See, we're in the Middle East. We're gone. We've been delivered because the Shia is not coming here. We're over there. But over here, right, you see America, right, is being torn apart. That's what happened this year, torn apart by the demons. It's this that green one there, that greenish yellow, that's also locust. So for 5 months, they're going to tear this country apart, tear it out, literally apart. And I'm going to have a special presentation on just that subject. I'm going to tear this country apart. So all demons, and they're at war. Because it says, remember, demons, they said, we want to go back to our swine daddies. So he said, okay, you go on. See? So they were thrown and they went fighting each other and went off a cliff together. That's what it means. Now also if you read the book of Samson, Samson was a demon. You see that Greece and Samson was a demon. What he did? He wanted to position himself, he went to slavery like we did. See? But there was massive children. We didn't concern about that. That's their problem. They have to deal with mass on that one, right? They might look at us, walk up, but we don't care. They ain't us, right? But you see, he positioned between the fire. What's that fire right there? The fire represents America and Britain. He's positioned between them two. Samson positioned himself between the two, and he brought him down to kill himself in the process. That's what it's talking about. They're going to literally tear this country apart. You think what happened last year? It was two locust plagues. Both will last 5 months. The one happened last was started with that with George Floyd thing and will last 5 months. This one will start and will last 5 months, but when it finishes, America will be totally broken down. See, that's what it's talking about there. So there you got. Remember the greenish yellow one. That's Samson. He's between two pillars. He pushes them down, kills them, and himself in the process. So the demon play is going to be significant, right? So now we're being delivered.
And the stars of the heaven fell into the earth, as fig tree is throwing the unripe figs of it by wind great being shaken, and the heaven was separated from as little book being rolled up, and every mountain and island out of the places of them they were moved.
So we're separated from the now. We're totally separated. We're over in our home, right? See, and now that's the ark. That's also the ark. Ark was 9 parts to it, and was floating above the waters. The waters also represent tribulation. So the NOI is still going to tribulation because they're still in the waters. See, the waters, that's tribulation. They're still in the waters, but we're riding above that. See, but they're going to end up. That is talking about the Sunni and the NOI or the saints or the chaff, or not the chaff, the wheat. They're all going through tribulation. See, because they're still in the waters. See, but the ark's floating above the waters. And you see where it says rainbow? Now you notice that? It said the rainbow he put it above the waters to show that God would never cause a flood to go up upon the earth again. That's what it's talking about. I don't mean that there was no rainbow before God, there was a flood in the past. Come on. Rainbow is not done by some act of some mysterious God somewhere. This is talking about um, talking about angel language. So just follow it. Where rainbow come. They used to be on top of the lake where now they're there. So now they're above the waters. See, that means the flood will come tomorrow. What's the flood? Would you see rivers? That's the flood. Rivers and seas, that's the flood. That's going to drown what the earth. Now, what was keeping them, then when you see Syria and Iran, if we can go back again, we go back a little bit. You see, Syria and Iran, they're what was holding the waters back. They was holding the waters back from the earth. See, once they're removed, then the flood comes.
As for me, I baptize you with water for repentance.
See?
And the stars of the heaven fell into the earth, as fig tree is throwing the unripe figs of it by wind great being shaken, and the heaven was separated from as little book being rolled up, and every mountain and island out of the places of them they were moved.
That's the heavens being separated, right? So we're separated. We are this mess, right? We are this mess. We over in the Middle East now. We are this mess.
And, behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth, to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life, from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die.
This is the flood. It takes out European countries. That's China, India, and it says if you read chapter 17, there's actually three beasts. There's one beast, right, that has 7 heads and 10 horns, and it crowns upon his horns. There's a dragon that has 7 heads and 10 horns, his crowns upon his heads. His power is transferred from the dragon to the beast. Then you got another beast that has no crowns at all, right? It said, but he'd be alongside the beast that had 7 heads and 10 horns and the crowns upon his horn. That's Obama. That's the three beasts you have right there. You got the dragon, under the dragon, you got Obama, that's the other beast, and you got the Buddha sign, that's the other beast. Right? There you go. That's it. See? And they the flood. It's a flood of humanity, not a flood of water. They're going to invade. That's what it's talking about the goat in chapter, the goat in Daniel, right? The goat represents the leopard. I'm not going into detail about that, but it says they're going to invade, right? It says they're going to come from the west, their feet not touching ground. That means they're coming over the Pacific Ocean. And they're going to attack the ram, that's America, and Britain, the two horns, and they're going to crush them, stamp them in the ground. And said that the goat was angry at the ram. Remember, now all the tensions rise between China and America now? That's what it's talking about. See?
And I saw throne great white and the sitting upon it, of whom from the face fled the earth and the heaven, and place not was found to them. And I saw the dead, the great, and the little, having stood in sight of the throne, and little books were opened up, and other little book was opened up which is of the life, and were judged the dead out of the having been written in the little books according to the works of them. And gave the sea the dead the in it, and the death and the Hades gave the dead the in them, and they were judged each according to the works of them. And the death and the Hades were thrown into the lake of the fire. This the death the second is, the lake of the fire. 14 And if anyone not was found in the book of the life having been written was thrown into the lake of the fire.
Okay, just there you have it. See? That's the end of the other nations. I'm not going into detail about it, but they're destroyed. How they're destroyed? But there's a final war. There's a final war, right? Where the beasts, right, China and India, right, and Obama, he's going to be, all three of them together, right? But they're getting to fight with each other. It says Obama will win, and then what he's going to do, he's going to have control of their armies, and then he's going to take and attack us in the Middle East. That's the final watch where they will be destroyed. See? So it will take 6 to 7 months to bury the dead. That's where they will be destroyed. That's when the original man's honor, his respect, you understand? His humiliation will be avenged. See? And then his woman will look at him as she should look at him, you understand? With love and respect in her eyes. Because no original man has ever seen that in an original woman's eyes yet. You haven't seen it. When you see it, then you'll know it. See? Because she That war would be the war of all. There's never been a war like it. Never ever will ever be a war like it again. This war with America and the EU and all that kind of stuff. That's like this final war. Like I said, it take up to 6 to 7 months to bury the dead. The worst war, time of unprecedented trouble. This will be the greatest war. I won't talk about this very much because our primary task right now is deal with the demons in front of us. That's a little that's going into 2003, 2023. But 2021, right? 2021, most everything you see prior to this one, this slide here, right? See, the separation, the war with invading America and all that kind of stuff, that's what you're going to see this year. America's gone. America will be no more at the end of this year. All the things you see up till this last slide here about the final war, that's what 2021 will bring. We always see insurrection already starting. I'm going to have another video I'm going to talk about that's get real deep into that in a mathematical way. But that's what you see right now. What you see right now is this war is about to break out. Now, will Trump pull the trigger before the 20th? If not, right, then we know Biden will pull it very soon thereafter. Because they're not going back to that agreement. They're not going to, so that means they have to go to war. Is that agreement or war? Once that war starts, all these other events will unfold. Time of unprecedented trouble. That's where we are, brothers and sisters. If you understand, right? I plan on going into more detail, right? But right now, I'm just giving you the background. And in days ahead, I'm going to more in detail what you expect in 2021. So you have a record of what I've been saying. So nobody come inside. So nobody can say, "Well, I wasn't telling you," because you don't hear Farrakhan talk any of this. He doesn't know. He talks in generalities. Oh well, we at war. Don't take the vaccine. No. Then you got stupid, ignorant, confused Wesley talking his BS. 3 hours of total confusion. Okay, brothers and sisters, hope you understand. See? So just be prepared. But those of you that you see Abraham, you don't have anything to worry about unless you don't want to kill yourself. Because we're going to break your grip. So you got this grip on America. It says Allah will lift you up. See? Allah will lift you up to the promised land, but you cling to the earth. You cling to America. You cling to NFL, and flat TV, and your little raggedy car, and your little dumbass apartment, and all this stuff, and you cling to all this stuff. See? But he's breaking your grip. See, because your jobs, you're losing your jobs, you can't work, all the stuff going on. He's breaking your grip. See, and the four winds going to finally break it totally. See, because not just for the four winds, because that's going to be part of it. Because when they go to war, they're going to come attack you. So you ain't going to be able to hold on to any of this anymore. You have to let go. See, but you're going to be in free fall. Because then it's going to be your faith. See, because you wouldn't listen before. So now you hang off a cliff. Hang on to some grass hanging off a cliff, see? And the grass can be taken away, so you're going to fall, free fall. And you're going to hope there's a trampoline down there or something to catch your ass. But Farad's got you. Farad's got you. See? Because the God promised you'll be delivered. He gave his word, Abraham a covenant. It's going to be fulfilled, whether you like it or not. Then if you want to come back to this crap, then you come on back to it. But we know you're going to resist. We know you're not going to listen. We know that. Not because you're nature, because you've been given the devil's mind. You're given the enemy's mind. We know that's a part of your being here. See? So if we throw you in, if we tell you, look, we need you to go in this pit, clean out this pit. We can't get mad at you because you come out dirty. Because that's part of clean out the pit. That's why we're going to be rescued like you're going to be rescued. That's why it says, will the prey be taken from the mighty? You're going to be snatched away. Because it's not your fault. Don't listen to this crap, Farrakhan. It's not your fault that you resisted, that you won't listen to me. You understand? Because they've been giving you the devil's mind, so therefore you got the devil's mind. You got your enemy's mind, so you think like your enemy. So it means you're working against yourself. That's why you're doing stuff backwards. You're back in a party that's out to kill you. They're 22 million babies aborted. They putting on your jobs overseas. They're putting your sons and daughters in prison, right? 22 million and counting abortions and all the stuff they're doing. See? So, and you voted for them because they got you thinking backwards. I'm not angry. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at these demons, right? They're using to do it. Cause that's why I go against them. Every time I pop up, I slap them down. See? Cause I recognize them. See? So it ain't your fault. Don't listen to this crap Farrakhan talking about. So it ain't your fault. It ain't your fault you don't like me. It ain't your fault you ain't listening, because that was part you got dirty because you submitted. So we can't blame you for that. So we're gonna take you and give you your right mind back. That's what's it. We're gonna give you your right mind back. Once your right mind come back, you'll be okay. It says though your sins, you understand, was dark as night, then be white as snow. The shit ain't in you, it's on you. The shit is in the demons, right? It's in Farrakhan, it's in him through and through. In 42 years, he's son of addition. He ain't produced a damn thing. See? So don't worry about it, sisters. I'm not here to condemn you. You don't see me condemning you. I'm here to rescue you, right? Your Savior is the one that don't tell you how to make it better on the plantation. Your Savior is the one to get you off the damn plantation. See, I'm here to rescue you. I ain't here to condemn you. I'm here to condemn your enemies. So we know you're going to reject. We're going to clean you up. You'll be okay. Assalamu alaikum.